Oh, hey, speaking of the mayor.
It's a great question.
No one asked anything. Okay.
That's a great question.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's local media tour continued this week. Last week, he hit the radio airwaves and joined WBEZ for an interview.
Hello.
He answered some questions, talked policy, and God bless him, answered phone calls. Well, this week, he hit the Chicago podcast circuit.
Yes.
Did he do an interview with the Ben Joravsky Show? Again, no.
Yeah, coming on.
You like to go on the show when they're running.
Yeah.
When they win, not so much.
Look at that freak, that hippie freak. Let's stay away from him, man. And that wacko weirdo, Dr. D. Let's stay away from them.
Yeah, I'm not helping you too much on that either.
No,
He
you're
stepped
not.
into the studio of the Chicago Sun-Times, which strangely is now the studio of WBEZ.
Yeah. Wait, did they have to go to Navy Pier for this?
It looked like it said WBEZ on their microphone. So Fran had, like the full flash.
Brian, let's go. Brian, can you get back to us on this one? The brains of this thing is a guy named Brian, by the way. Without Brian, there would be no BEZ or Sun-Times. One guy.
Well, listen, we had that WBEZ interview. It was nice. It was good. Gotta say, little softball. I bet the mayor wished he had callers for this interview, by the way, because no punches were held as he sat face to face with a Chicago political bulldog.
My guest this week is Mayor Brandon Johnson, who is about to celebrate his midterm anniversary. Congratulations and welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Oh, you're damn right. It's Chicago Sun-Times own Fran the Woman Spielman. He was on the Fran Spielman show. We have the audio. Before we play all this, we got to give a shout out to Brian Ernst, as we mentioned, for his outstanding work on the Fran Spielman podcast. And if there's one guy who's sick of Brandon Johnson audio, it's this guy. He did the thing with WBEZ last week. Now he's doing the thing with Sun-Times.
Brian just jiggle the wires, Ernst. Okay. Just nothing and a little jiggle the wires.
Yeah.
He's the guy keeping it going. Every now and then, BEZ gets a little wobbly. Call in Ernst. He comes in, jiggles the wires. I got to go produce another podcast.
He sent me a text the other day, said he woke up in the middle of the night blaming Nixon. Like, oh, dude, you've been listening to too much Brandon audio, I guess. All right, let's play this audio here. I think this is a good interview. Fran the Woman. All right. If you're unfamiliar with the work of Fran Spielman, I suggest you sit back and take notes. All right, because Fran knocked this thing out of the park. Now, Ben, as you know, Fran ain't no rookie. All right. She knows how to interview a Chicago mayor, and she also knows that you're not going to get anything worth a crap if you don't butter them up first. Am I right?
Oh, is that how you do it? Butter them up.
That's how you do it.
Rip them.
Oh, my God.
I know one way you've changed. You look like you lost a ton of weight. How much have you lost, and how have you done it? Have you done it the old-fashioned way by
it's old-fashioned way.
exercise and eating,
exercising
or is it Wegovy and Ozempic?
No, the old-fashioned way, right? Just eating right and exercising, and
Fran's got you right where she wants you, buddy.
Yeah. Wait, take the line, throw it out, hook the fish, and reel it in. Ozempic, man, that was good.
Yeah,
popping those pills, huh? Taking those diet pills, huh, Brandon? Is that what you're doing?
Phase 1 complete, Fran. We have the rest of this interview here. Ben, we'll play one clip, you weigh in, and we'll play another, you weigh in, how we usually
All right, before we do, I just want to say one thing.
Okay.
B, you're looking really good today. Can I just tell you that? I love that. You got this tan, this glow. Are you a vegan? Are you going vegan on? You got that vegan glow. That's what you're doing. You're going vegan on me.
The other week. Have you been drinking?
I'm learning. I'm learning from
the
great ones. Okay. You don't start by going, D, you're all red in the face. Have you been drinking? No, you go, D, you look great. You got that vegan glow.
Oh, I see what you're buttering me up.
I'm buttering you up. Yeah. I've learned. Okay. I'm taking notes. I'm learning. Okay.
Very sneaky. Very sneaky.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, have you been drinking? You're looking great. That never follows. Looking great. And have you been drinking?
Have you been drinking? You got that drunker's glow. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, he does have a glow. I don't know. Maybe it's the new reefer he's smoking. I don't know what it is.
All right, the fun and games are over. Fran, the Woman Spielman, is putting on the gloves, and she's ready to duke it out with the mayor.
Mayor, can you think of 2 or 3 specific decisions that you've made that if you had the chance, you would go back and redo?
There is a person right now that is leading a multi-million-dollar PAC against our work, right? And the person who is helping to lead that was the senior advisor to my CEO of Chicago Public Schools. I wanted to work with the CEO, Martinez. He didn't. And think in retrospect, um, I should have known that his value system was not aligned with where we were going. And that's a decision that in retrospect, I should have been more forthright about the reality that this individual just was not capable
Should
of
you have
carrying
come
out.
in with your own CEO or
Well,
gotten rid of him sooner?
and so I'm glad you asked it more directly. This again is going back to just the core tenets of my faith of working with people or giving people the benefit of the doubt and not to come across dictatorial, right? Because I didn't want, quite frankly, the people to characterize me in a way that doesn't match my true nature. I've
It
learned
was
from
a
it.
pretty big mistake because you've
I've
had this
look,
ugly mess here that
well,
still
look,
goes on.
I've learned from it.
Get him, Fran.
Well, wow. Man, I could riff like crazy on this. By the way, it's a different voice. There was somebody else in that interview
Oh, yeah,
besides.
that was someone from WBEZ.
Oh, just going to diminish that person?
yeah, I forgot that.
Okay,
Yeah,
whoever
yeah.
that person was, on behalf of the Ben Jarofsky show, I apologize.
I know who that
I'm like, wait, that's not Fran, and that's not Brandon. Who is that? Is that Brian Ernst?
I'll find out who that is. That's not Brian.
Just jiggle the wires.
I tell you
All
who
right.
it could have been. I tell you who it could have been. You're looking at him right here. Anyway.
Yeah, it could have been, yes, but it's not you. All right, so I absolutely agree with the essence of that the comment by Brandon and the follow-up by Fran Spielman. He was the exact opposite of a typical Chicago mayor when he came in. And I don't know why it was, D. He says it was because he's compassionate, he wants to work with people. I just think he didn't grab a control of city government. And I remember having a conversation. We talk about bulldogs. Maya Dukmasov and I interviewed Brandon Johnson at the promontory about 6 months in. And Maya was like, why aren't you firing people? Why aren't you filling vacancies? Why do you have these holdovers? And he was habita. He didn't have an answer. And I think the actual answer is he didn't take control of Chicago government. He didn't hit the ground running. And I got news for you. Had he fired them, the howls from the Sun-Times, Fran Spielman, Cranes, Chicago Tribune would have been horrendous because most of these publications don't think he's capable of doing the job, D. They were against him coming in, been against him since the day one. So I do not understand, as a lefty, why he kept these people around. I don't understand. I just think he didn't seize control of the government. Look, think of the extreme. Donnie Trump's firing everybody in Washington, D. He just fired the head of the Library of Congress, who's from Chicago, by the way. You didn't see the Sun-Times going nuts about Carla Hayden, did you?
I heard
She's actually from Chicago.
I heard she may be from Dalton, actually.
No, she's not. She went to South Shore High School. Hayden, excuse me. So I do believe that was a huge oversight on his part, to put it mildly. He didn't take control of government, and he allowed people to stay into power who didn't want to help him. And more to the point, many of his supporters were against. So, yes, I agree with the essence of what Fran Spielman was asking, which is, why do you keep these people around so long?
Brandon was like, man, can we go back to the weight loss?
But wait, is it the Ozempic? Oh my
There's more.
Along the way, CTU President Stacey Davis Gates tried to have her members take over the jobs of teaching assistants for special ed students. That did not work out. They backed off. But in the process, you have this civil war that went on between SEIU and CTU and your administration. SEIU asked for your help at one point to get them to back off. You didn't get involved initially. And so now there's a rift. You're in danger of not having SEIU be in your corner for reelection. They gave you $5 million. They gave you manpower. How can you win without them?
Well, first of all, let me just say that the members who are part of SEIU Local 73, who are Park District workers and CPS workers, receive their best contracts ever, right? And so we've raised the raises for Local 73 in our parks as well as in our public schools.
Man, that's a problem right there. But my guess is that SEIU 73 will be aboard with Brandon Johnson if he runs in 2 years, Lord knows. But that was an ugly rift, unnecessary rift. Yeah, man, like I said, D, it's just, this is a different mayor than we've ever had before. I can't imagine Mayor Rahm or Mayor Daley allowing such dissension, open dissension from supporters. Can you imagine Donald Trump as president doing that? So yeah, Brandon Johnson is a different mayor. He's a nice man, and nice doesn't work in Chicago. May work in Dalton. Okay, may work in Dalton, where our current pope is from, but I don't think it works in Chicago. Chicago loves its reputation of being nasty and mean and having mayors that punish people. And so a mayor that would allow a union that supported him to openly be at war with the union that launched his career is unthinkable to Chicagoans. It's a sign of weakness, and Chicagoans generally want a powerful mayor. And so this is interpreted, if anybody's following it, D, that's the other thing. If anybody's following it, the people who listen to my show are following it because they're political nerds, and I love you all. It's seen as a sign of weakness and another example of why people do not believe that Mayor Brandon Johnson will be victorious in 2 years, because there's too much dissension in the ranks. So if you're a union person, if you're a union boss, you like the old days. You go in, the mayor says you're going to do X, Y, Z, and bow down to me, and I'll give you your people a mini raise. Now shut up and get out of here. And then they go back and they do X, Y, and Z, take the mini raise and brag about it to them. That's how unions work in Chicago, D. You don't openly defy the mayor, unless you're Chicago Teachers Union, badass union. But so, yeah, I absolutely believe that Mayor Brandon Johnson he paid a price for being Mr. Nice Guy and paid a price for not seizing control of Chicago, finding his inner Rahm Emanuel, his inner Richard M. Daley, just like roughing people up a little bit. Also shows that he's not completely supported in the black community, because I cannot imagine a union treating Harold Washington like this, a union most of whose members are black, treating Harold Washington like this back in the good old days of Harold Washington's reign. So that's also a sign of weakness on Brandon Johnson's part.
Mariah Woelfel.
There we go. Okay.
Think of 2 or 3 specific decisions that you've made that if you had the chance, you would go back and redo.
There you go. Mariah Woelfel. Great.
There we go. Great question, Mariah. And I on behalf of everybody at the Ben Joravsky Show, the empire of workers, I apologize for not giving you that shout out earlier.
Yeah.
It was my fault, not Dr. D's. Go ahead, D.
Yeah, no, it was my double shout out to Brian. I texted him. I said, what was that lady's name?
Brian, he's on the ball. Okay. If no problem is too big or small for Brian, just jiggle the wires earns to handle.
Mariah Woelfel was her name. All right, we got one more clip.
The playbook for Chicago mayors for decades has always been you raise taxes in the first budget after the election, and then you give the voters 3 years to forget. You did not do that. And as a result, and the property tax rebellion that we had, you now face 2 budgets closest to the election that will have to have property tax increases or some other big tax package. Did you make a mistake in doing that and not raising taxes immediately?
Look, it's my job to present a budget. It's the responsibility of the city council to vote on that budget, right? That's the fundamental function of government. And what we have in the city of Chicago, we have the remnants of real bad financial planning And that's why this working group is so critical.
I'm talking about your mistake.
Again, I'm not
Did
going to
you
go
make a
again.
mistake in not
Look,
raising taxes
I hear
after the
I hear your
election.
question. I do. I'm not going to continue to talk about what didn't happen 2 years ago.
Easy.
I tell you what, I wish he had said, yes, I made a mistake. Absolutely. I made a mistake. I should have been listening to everybody. I should have been listening to the hippie guy in the attic and you, Fran, and everybody else in the world who says what you do when you're elected mayor is blame the previous mayors for everything that went wrong. And you said, oh my God, I didn't realize it was this bad. We have no choice but to raise taxes. All right. Now, I doubt very much if Fran Spielman, the Chicago Tribune, Cranes would have bought it if Brandon Johnson were saying, because from the minute he walked in, they were against him. But that is standard operating procedure number one. And Fran is absolutely correct. It was a mistake. And I wish Brandon Johnson had said, yeah, I made a mistake. I should have fired that health commissioner day one. That was a mistake. I should have fired Martinez day one. That was a mistake. I should have hired my people and fill these vacancies with people who supported me. That was a mistake. I should have had a better communications team that responded when I was attacked. That was a mistake. I should have welcomed the migrants who came to Chicago and gotten Joe Biden to build housing for them in Black communities, putting Black people to work. That was a mistake. Right, D? I wish he had said it. Can you imagine? Like, if he had, like, what was that movie with Jim Carrey, Liar, Liar, where you suddenly had to tell the truth?
Yeah.
By the way, great movie.
It was really funny.
I wish, yeah, like, but he ran away from the question a little bit. Well, maybe, I'm not going to answer. No, yeah, it was a mistake. And then he should have flipped it on her. And for Fran, had I done that, would you have supported me? Would you have been attacking me? Would you have been quoting some flunkies who used to work for Mayor Rahm to say Mayor Rahm wouldn't do it this way? No, you wouldn't have. Let me put the question to you. So, yes, it was a mistake not to follow Chicago playbook, which is essentially to blame everything on your predecessor so that you get that property tax in. So when it's year 4, you could say, my God, I am a financial genius. I have figured out something that nobody else has figured out, which is how to run government without taxes. And Chicagoans scratch their little head and go, well, as long as the Pope's from Chicago, I think I'll vote for the mayor. So yes, it was a mistake. Could you imagine if I were the mayor of the city of Chicago? Yeah, I made a mistake. Yeah, I screwed that one up. Oh, well. Well, shit happons. You know what I'm saying? Hey, how about those cops?
Yeah, this guy. Tune into the news. Everybody hates your guts.
No, everybody. They still love Mayor Rahm on the north side, D. You know, Ben, say what you will about Mayor Rahm. He's done a lot for Chicago. Okay. They still love him on the north side. I'm just saying, Mayor Rahm, not Mayor John. Oh, my God. No.
So there you go. The interview. Fran Spielman with Brandon Johnson. Go check that interview out.
And who else?
Brian Ernst and Mariah Woelfel.
Thank you.
Go check it out on YouTube. Fantastic work. You know, I mean, that BEZ one was all right that we played last week, but I like the work Fran Spielman did there. All right.
Give Mariah some love. She asked a couple good questions too.
Great job, Mariah. You did
all
good.
Right.
You did good. Spielman had to come in and clean it up a little bit, but hey, you did good. You did good. All right.
Oh, Mariah, I tried, man. I tried.